BlackRock's like the cheapest game in town for management of assets, and a lot of the objection of getting out of BlackRock is that, hey, it's going to cost us X number of $1 million more to go somewhere else, and that's a violation of fiduciary duty. How do we answer that question for state treasurers that want to do the righteous thing, but are like, hey, it's going to violate my duty and to switch over to somebody else, and it's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. What are the answers to that?
It's a complicated one, but the argument, we're working on some things that will hopefully provide some academic research that can answer that question more directly. But what I would offer is that you're already losing money. If you're investing in a lot of these proposals or these assets that exclude fossil fuels, which went gangbusters over the past 4 or 5 years, comparatively to what you could be making for the pension fund, which is a lot of these pension funds, if you are unaware, are woefully underfunded. Some 17%, 20%, 25%. And you as the taxpayer, you're on the hook for them if the retirees actually need the money. Like I think it's 60% would be considered well-funded, which is failing. If you've ever gotten that grade in school, so that's not passing. So none of this is actually good. So my argument in response would be actually look at your investments comparatively to an index that includes all kinds of funds. You're probably underperforming. Because again, if you're excluding fossil fuels, which have been doing exceptionally well, if you're focusing explicitly on companies like Oleka, which again, if you want an ESG company from the Obama years, that's what it is, you're probably failing anyway. So look at it holistically in terms of what your responsibility is. And again, I think there are some other folks that will be able to provide an academic perspective on this, which is helpful for those groups, because they pay attention to that. Quick commentary, I'm glad you brought up what you said about BDS and those kinds of things. I think also on the neutrality point, it depends on what's going on at the time. Again, we say the phrase, you know what time it is. It's a different time right now. To go back to World War II, Chamberlain tried that example, or he tried that strategy. He tried to appease Hitler. And then we saw, again, the results. So there are different times when you need to have different approaches, and I think now we need to push a little bit harder because we've been losing for so long now in terms of that. The challenge and the problem that you're seeing now is that ESG, DEI, even the China investment, all of those things are connected to anti-American values. There's now a whole generation of people who are taught that America is bad, America is irredeemably racist. Investing in our people, in our future, in our community, in our culture is wrong. This is the deeper problem that exists and how all of these things tie together. It's a fight for Western civilization. The challenge, though, is that my generation, millennials, a lot of this stuff was baked into education because of CRT, because of DEI. A lot of this stuff was baked into what people were learning and then leading on in government because of ESG investing. So there's a lot of folks who simply don't have the information, the education that they need. I myself was caught up in some of this stuff a few years ago. It wasn't until my eyes were open where I actually began to see this as a parent to understand how this could be a real significant problem. I bring this up now because this is one of the main reasons why I took this job, is to make sure that everybody has the resources and the tools to educate their fellow American citizens. The question earlier, what can you do? You can put these conversations in stark terms. Do you want to have a country that loves itself, its people love itself, or do you want to have a country that kowtows to the liberal elite? Do you want to have a country that says we'd rather invest in China than in Hong? Do you want to have a country that says we want to teach our kids to hate who they are and to hate their fellow citizens, as opposed to love who they are and love their country? It may not feel like all those things are connected in ESG and DEI, but they are, because that's exactly the left's goal. It was the goal with the Marxists some 130 years ago when Karl Marx came on the scene. It was the goal with the leftists in the 1960s and 70s and the 50s and the radicals that were around then. It's the goal today. It's the same idea. So this is a generational fight. This is a permanent fight that for those of us who think that the fight is over and that it's won just because we won in November,